Hey Storm Nation, it's Brady, and you may notice that I'm not on the lanes for this video because instead, today we're going to be doing a Junior Gold ball tier list. So if you're a youth bowler looking to go to Junior Gold in July, which is coming up pretty soon, you may want to watch this video. And today we got 33 of the most popular Storm, Rotogrip, or 900 Global bowling balls. And I'm going to be putting them in a tier list here for you. So you have some recommendations as to whether to bring some bowling balls or some bowling balls to not bring. So before we get started with the tier list, I just want to preface this video by saying that what I put on the tier list may not be exactly right for you. So don't take this as like, an objective thing that you have to follow, because even for me personally, something that I love and might put in the must-have category might end up being almost completely useless when we arrive at Junior Gold. And then on the flip side, something that I put in the probably not section might end up putting me in the lead. So you really don't know. So again, don't take this as an objective thing that you have to follow in order to be successful. Take your own tastes and bowling balls that you like into consideration, and just use this as a sort of recommendation that if you're not sure, maybe try and follow this. But without further ado, let's get started with the tier list. So first up, we got the Absolute. Pretty shiny, really gets down the lane. Might want to play a little more coast to coast with it. A lot of people really love it. Personally, it was not as much of a hit for me as some of the other shinier balls here, but I'd probably put this in the maybe bring section, just because I think that there are a lot of other bowling balls here that might do its job a little better. And again, you really want to take into consideration that you can only bring 5 for your arsenal for the tournament. You can bring as many as you want to practice, but yeah, because the 5-ball arsenal can be so constricting, I don't want to put a lot of bowling balls that are kind of okay in the throw in practice or in the must-have section, so you really want to be mindful of that. Okay, next up we got the Burner Pearl, and I haven't thrown this ball ever, so I'm not too knowledgeable about this ball, but it does play kind of like a hustle similar. I've never thrown it. I've never seen anybody throw it. I just don't really. Okay, next up we got the DNA. Now the DNA, this ball is amazing. This ball helped me win my PBA regional. If you haven't seen that video, we'll put a link in the description. But yeah, the DNA is awesome, great for long stuff. You can play pretty far left with it. It's good longevity, especially on fresh stuff. You can stay in it for 2, 3, even 4 games. It's an awesome ball. It's either in must-have or throw-in practice for me. I'm gonna put it in must-have. There's gonna be one of those really heavy long patterns out there in Junior Gold, like there always are. So the DNA is probably it's a good ball to have in that long pattern area, I think. Okay, next up we got the Duo, the partnership ball with Stephanie Johnson and Shannon O'Keefe. I have not thrown this ball yet. I know. Let's see here. I think for the general public, definitely throw in practice. I've seen quite a lot of positive reviews about this ball. I definitely think that it would have some potential in Junior Gold, so I'm going to put it in the throw in practice section, even though I haven't personally thrown it myself. Anyone who has, this is definitely a good option to have in your bag. Okay, next up we got the Electrify BSY. I threw this for like a couple weeks and then it kind of fell out of my arsenal. It's a little too long down the pattern for me. It doesn't really shape very well, so you might want to put some surface on this. It's a bit of a weird bowling ball. I think, in my opinion, there's definitely a lot of better Electrifies out there. So I'll probably put this in the probably not section. And just as a reminder, this doesn't mean that it's a bad ball in general. There are a lot of instances where this would be the best ball that I could throw on a specific pattern, on a specific day, etc., etc. So this doesn't mean that it's a bad pattern, but for Junior Gold, where you're only allowed 5 balls and you're probably going to throw max 9 in practice, you really gotta cut a lot of bowling balls that you might want to bring or you might want to throw. So for now, we're going to put this in the probably not section. Okay, next up, we got the Electrify Go, another new release from Storm. I have not personally thrown this ball either, and I haven't seen a lot of other people throw it. It does seem, in a way, kind of similar to the BSY. It might shape the pattern a little better at Junior Gold. I might put this in the maybe bring section. Again, I'm not too knowledgeable about this ball, so I'm not the best person to ask, but I think from the stats that it has, I'd put it in the maybe bring section. Okay, next up we got the Eternity. This is another great ball for me. I love it. It's especially good, at least for me, like when you're bowling on a long pattern and it's starting to burn up a little. This is shiny enough that it can get through the burn oil and also come back and snap right into the pocket. So this is a great choice. It's either between must-have or throw in practice. You know what? For now, I'm going to put this in the must-have. I might have to switch around a couple of the places depending on what I see come next, but for now, this is going in the must-have. It's a great ball. Okay, now we got the Exotic Gem, another great ball from Roto Grip. It's kind of similar to the Eternity, where it's good when a long pattern has gotten a little burnt up, and you can shape the pattern a little better. But I think for now, I think I'm going to put it in the throw and practice session, just because you're only bowling 4-game blocks, except in advancers and whatnot, where you might be bowling 5 games, but each block doesn't have a whole lot of games in it. So planning ahead really far in getting a lot of really shiny stuff to combat the burn might not be the best play, because you're not going to see a whole lot of burn or a whole lot of transition compared to a bunch of other tournaments. But I think for now I'm going to put this in the throw and practice section. Okay, now we got the Fate, our first Belmo ball out of the list. It's pretty shiny, not as reactive as the Eternity or the Exotic Gem on long patterns. It does play a little better on medium patterns. However, the thing with Junior Gold is that you only get 5-ball arsenal for the tournament. And there are a lot of bowling balls that are designed to cover the medium pattern area of length, because that is what most patterns are going to be. That's like the average. So there's going to be a lot of benchmark balls like that. And when you only have 5 bowling balls, you don't want a lot of holes, and it's really easy to get a lot of holes in your arsenal when you only have 5 balls to work with. So you want to stretch it out as much as you possibly can. And because of that, I think we're gonna stick the Fate in maybe bring for now. Sorry, Belmo, but yeah, for now we're gonna stick it in maybe bring, just because there are a lot of bowling balls in that medium length area. Okay, now we got the Gem. This is a very, very strong bowling ball. In fact, so strong that it's probably not one of the best bowling balls to take to Junior Gold, mainly because it's so strong that it doesn't cover a whole lot of area. Like for me, I could never use this on a medium or maybe even a medium long pattern, solely because it's so strong. I'd probably go to something more like a DNA. So I'm going to put this in the throw and practice section, just because it does have a place in the bag. It can work on a lot of like long patterns and whatnot, but you know, at least for me, it's kind of a one-trick pony, so it can't really do a whole lot of different things. Now, if you're a one-hander with maybe not as much high of a rev rate, you might want to put this in the must-have category. So if you're a lower rev player, you might want to put this in the must-have. But for me, with maybe 16, 17 mile an hour ball speed and like 450 rev rate, it does have its place and it can shine when you use it right. But in terms of Junior Gold, we're going to put it in the throw and practice section. Okay, up next we got the Hustle MM. I have personally not thrown this ball either, but from what I can tell from the stats and what I could find about the bowling ball, it seems pretty basic, like a medium to low flare potential, symmetrical, you know, pretty much the run of the mill, something that you might want to see. I'd probably put this in the maybe bring if you happen to have it. Maybe try and give it a go in practice. I can't really say a whole lot about it because I haven't thrown it, but it seems like a pretty basic benchmark ball. Maybe, you know, kind of shiny, good medium pattern ball, something like that. But yeah, I'd probably put this in the maybe bring. Okay, now we got the Hustle RIP. This is another ball that I haven't thrown, so again, I can't say too much about it. But another, you know, pretty basic benchmark ball. One of the best hustles out there from what I've seen. I can't really put it in the throw in practice because I haven't thrown it myself. I definitely wouldn't trust it enough to bring it to a tournament such as Junior Gold if I haven't even thrown it once. But I can't say that I dislike it enough to put it in, probably not, so we're just going to put it in maybe bring for now. That's probably just going to be the category I put a lot of the bowling balls here that I haven't thrown yet. Okay, so now we got the Hustle USA, the last of the hustles on this list, and it's a pretty recent release. It's been out in the market for several months now. but there are quite a few bowling balls here that are older than this. So for the Hustle USA, a lot of people like it, a lot of people don't. I'm kind of on the not so crazy about this bowling ball. For Junior Gold, I'd probably not bring it. It just doesn't fit well with me. Again, a lot of people love it. So if you love it, go ahead, bring it. Do not let me stop you. Okay, now we got the High Road Pearl. Now for the High Road Pearl, now we're getting into some of the bowling balls that are better on the burn, really get down the lane. You stand left, throw it a little more coast to coast. And like I said earlier, you're not going to see a whole lot of transition just because the blocks are so short. This bowling ball is quite good for me. It can really snap into the pocket. So I'd probably put this in the throw in practice. It's not quite good enough to put it in as a must-have, simply because I don't throw it as much anymore as I used to. So I'd probably try it in practice. I put it in the throw in practice section. Okay, now we got the OG High Road. It does, as you might expect, play pretty similar to the High Road Pearl. The High Road is a pretty good ball. It can really get to the pocket, which is what you really need at Junior Gold with these patterns being so difficult. But it does leave a lot of corner pins. It doesn't really carry the way that I'd like it to, so I'd probably put this in maybe bring just because the carry from a lot of these other bowling balls is much better, and it can also get to the pocket almost, if not just as well. So I'd probably put the OG High Road in maybe bring. Okay, now we got the trio of hyped, the hyped hybrid, hyped pearl, and hyped solid. Now, I have not thrown any of these, but I have seen from the specs that they look pretty similar to the hustles. However, I do think that from what I've seen from people throwing it, the hustles look like they do its job a little better than the hypes. So I think I'll put the hybrid and the pearl in probably not, and yeah, I'll probably put the solid and probably not too, just because I think the hustles might do that a little better. Okay, now we got the ice and the mix, and it's pretty fortunate that these two are put so close together because they react pretty similarly as well. So these are probably going to be your ideal spare balls. And if you're a one-hander or are just, really good at flattening your wrist out, not getting a lot of rotation on the ball, you don't need to bring spare ball to Junior Gold. If you can make spares just as fine with one as without one, then probably shouldn't be bringing a spare ball because without bringing a spare ball, that just gives you an extra strike ball in your arsenal, which is extremely valuable for Junior Gold. But if you are not as good as flattening out your hand, you're a two-hander like me, you have more issues with that, definitely bring a spare ball. Spares are key at Junior Gold, and spares are going to be probably the most important thing that you're going to be shooting. We got the ice and the mix. You're not going to want to bring both. For me, I personally use the mix, so I'm going to put the mix in must-have because it's the spare ball. You can't leave without it for me. And because I have the mix and must have, I'm going to put the ice in probably not. If you use the ice as your spare ball or another spare ball, that's perfectly fine. These two are interchangeable. But I use the mix, so I'm going to bring that. And I don't need the ice because I already have the mix as a spare ball. So you only need one spare ball. Okay, now we got the Phaze IV. If you have been in the loop with USB-C rulings, you'll know that this was one of the 5 or 6 bowling balls, I'm not quite sure, that were banned from national tournaments. And Junior Gold is a national tournament, which means that you are not allowed to use this in Junior Gold. Do not bring this in your arsenal. We're going to put this in probably not. It's a good bowling ball. Unfortunately, it is banned from Junior Gold, so do not bring this. This is probably the worst bowling ball on this list that you could bring to Junior Gold. Do not bring this. All right, next up, we got the Phaze II. Very good bowling ball. I use it all the time. I don't exactly want to put this in must-have, though, because there are quite other bowling balls like it. We already have 2 relatively big balls. We got a big ball, and we also have something to use after the big ball. So this could probably be similar to the Eternity, somewhere around there. So I don't really want to put that in must-have. I definitely do throw it in practice, though. I can't put it in maybe bring it. So I got to put it in throw in practice. And for those who don't have the Eternity, because the Phaze II, you are probably more likely to have than the DNA or the Eternity. So if you have the Phaze II, I consider putting this in must-have, but for me, I'm going to put this in throw in practice. Okay, one row left, and we're going to finish out the phases with the Phaze V. Now, the Phaze V, the fifth iteration of the Phaze lineup, and this ball, in my opinion, is the best phase out of all of them. This is amazing. It's shiny, polish. It's good for burn stuff. And like I said earlier, you're not going to need a whole lot of burn stuff, but you're gonna need one in for your arsenal in must have. And I think that this is gonna be the one. So we're gonna put the Phaze V in must have. We're gonna round up our arsenal. We got a big ball to use on the fresh, a shinier ball that we can use after, and if things get really burnt up, then we can go to the Phaze V. Okay, now we got the pitch black. For me, this is a must have on short oil patterns, and at junior gold, there's gonna be at least one, so you gotta prepare. So for the pitch black, it's really the only urethane that I bring around. I normally only bring one, sometimes two. Well, technically the mix is partially urethane, but the pitch black is really the only urethane strike ball that I bring around with me. So this is definitely going to go into the must-have. So now we got DNA, a big ball to use on the fresh, shinier ball to use maybe after that, a Phaze V, something weak to throw at the end if I need it. And then for short stuff, we can fall onto the pitch black. Okay, now we got the IQ Tour Solid, the other old ball on this list, if I'm not mistaken, in addition to the OG High Road. But for the IQ Solid, it's in somewhat similar to the pitch black in the sense that it's early, it's more controllable. You might want to throw it on a shorter or short medium pattern, something like that. But we already got that covered with the pitch black. It's still a pretty benchmark ball. You can use it in a variety of ways, but I probably wouldn't put it in must have. So I'd probably put it in throw it in practice. Okay, so after the IQ Tour Solid, we got the IQ Tour Ruby. Now, the Ruby used to be an overseas ball, and then they brought it into the US not too long ago. And everyone in the US is quite happy that that happened. It's quite shiny. It'll really project down the lane when you need to do that. We do already have the Phaze V for that, but it is quite a good bowling ball. I definitely try and give it a go in practice. Okay, we got the 900 Global Reality. Now, the Reality has done some pretty wondrous things for me on long patterns, but not so much on medium and short patterns, which is why I don't exactly want to put it in must-have, considering we already got the DNA here in must-have. So for the Reality, I would probably put it in throw in practice just because it's so good on long patterns. And again, we do have a lot of stuff here for throw in practice. I definitely try and give the Reality a go. In a perfect world, I'd give the Reality a go in the practice sessions, see how it goes, maybe versus the DNA. Yeah, I definitely try and get it in the bag if I can. Okay, now we got the Revenant, another pretty recent release. It's good, pretty shiny, pretty good on maybe some medium stuff, something like that. Pretty good benchmark ball. It didn't really hit so well for me, so I'm probably gonna put it in maybe bring. I just haven't thrown it as much as a lot of other people have, so I'll probably put it in maybe bring. Okay, so now we got the Summit, probably one of the most recent releases on this list. So for the Summit, in fact, I made a ball review video about the Summit just a couple days ago, so you might want to go and check that out. But for the tier list, I probably wouldn't put it in must-have one because it was so recent. I haven't thrown it a whole lot, so I don't really have as good of an opinion on it as I would like. I'd like to, throw a couple more games, try and really learn about the ball motion and what it can do. So I'd probably do throw it in practice, especially because we still have a little over a month left. For now, it's going to go into throw it in practice. Okay, moving right along to the TNT. This is, surprisingly enough, I have not thrown the TNT ever. It is a bigger ball, a stronger ball, and the thing is, we already have a lot of bigger balls here, like the DNA, Gem, Reality, and considering that I haven't even thrown it, I don't exactly know what it might have in store. So I'm going to put it in maybe bring for now. Again, like I said earlier, this might just be somewhat the dumping ground for bowling balls that I don't know a whole lot about. So for now, we're gonna put it in maybe bring. Again, if this is like maybe your only big ball or like your favorite one, this could find a spot in throw and practice, maybe even must have. But for me, I'm gonna put it in maybe bring. Okay, now we got the tropical surge. The specific one in the picture is the pink and purple one, but any color will basically be the same. So this ball, I have again personally not thrown it, but it is like one of the first bowling balls that someone might buy. It's pretty weak, acts almost like a spare ball even. For me, I would put this in the probably not section. If I had it, I would probably never throw it. It's just too weak. It just doesn't shape down the lane enough for me to warrant bringing it at junior gold. Okay, now we got the Zen U, which is the urethane sequel to the original Zen. Now, the Zen U is a urethane, and we do already have a urethane in the must-have here with the pitch black. And if, say, I'm bringing 9 to junior gold just for the practice sessions, and then I'm choosing 5 of those in my arsenal, especially with one of those being a spare ball, I just can't see myself in a situation where I would be bringing 2 urethanes into an arsenal of 5. Even if the Zen U does look good in practice, I just can't see myself putting 2 urethanes in my arsenal, so I'm going to put this in the probably not section. Okay, and lastly, the final ball we have to rank, the original Zen. This ball is loved by pretty much everyone that you'll run into, and I hate to say this. It's just not for me. I was way late to the party buying it. I think I first got it maybe several months ago for sure. It might have been like September of last year, something like that. Um, and it just didn't work for me. It worked for so many people. So many people love it. It just doesn't work for me. So I hate to do it, but it's going for me in the probably not section. If you have it, you'll probably like it more than me. You'll probably consider putting it in the throw and practice, maybe even in the must-have section. But for me, it's just not a hit. I have so many bowling balls that I love more, so we're gonna put it in probably not. Okay, so we've put all of the balls into one of the 4 tiers in the tier list, but before we end the video, I'm just gonna go through it and see if I want to make any last minute changes. More specifically, maybe trying to cut down the throw and practice section. Um, Not maybe all the way down to putting 4 here to get a total of uh, 9 in the must-have and throw and practice session, which is going to be 3 bags, which is what I normally bring to all my tournaments. So we're probably not going to cut it that much, but we have 9 here alone. So I'm gonna try and maybe take some of these out. So I'm seeing first of all the gem. It's just too strong. We got the DNA, we got the reality here in the throw and practice. So I'm probably gonna put this down to the maybe bring section. Also, I'd like to maybe put the duo down to the maybe bring section, mainly because I don't have it. If you do have it, I definitely consider bringing it. I know a lot of people like it, but I I just can't really put this in the throw and practice section because I don't have as good of an opinion on it. And also, I hate to do this, but I think I'm also going to put the IQ Tour Solid down into the maybe bring section, mainly because I don't throw it as much as I used to, maybe 1.5 or 2 years ago. Um, maybe if we surfaced it up a little more, maybe tried it in a couple more circumstances, maybe I might put it back into the throw and practice section. But I just really don't think that I can put it in the throw and practice section because I just don't use it enough. And also, I think that I'm going to put the Phaze II into the must-have section because the Eternity and the Phaze 5 might be a little too similar to put as a 5-ball arsenal. And so I'm probably going to demote the Eternity into the throw and practice section. Don't get me wrong, this ball is amazing, but I think it's just a little too similar to the Phaze 5 to warrant putting them both in the must-have section. And the Phaze II, I think, really fills a gap that we had with the 4 strike balls in this section. So I think the Phaze II is going to go in the must-have, and the Eternity is going to go in throw and practice. And yeah, with that final change, I think that I'm happy with how this looks. Again, this is not a objective perfect guide that you have to follow. Put your own taste into account, look at what you have, try and spread out the bowling balls as much as possible, meaning that you don't want two bowling balls in your arsenal that play pretty similarly. Try and get a wide range. I think that concludes the video. So thank you so much for watching this new style of video. I know I'm normally out bowling on the lanes, and this time I'm inside on a computer sorting out bowling balls in a tier list. But I hope you enjoyed, and if you like this new style of video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know, because we might make a couple more of these. So thank you so much for watching, and bowl up a storm.